On January 20th, President Donald Trump signed Executive Order 14172, naming the body of water off of Southwest Florida the Gulf of America. Now we're bringing the Gulf of America right to your door. If you're looking to show your patriotism and rep the Gulf of America, go on madeInswiffle.com to get your Gulf of America gear. Hats for $15, shirts for $20, and koozies are just $5. It's simple, affordable, and made right here in America. MadeInswiffle.com. Get all your Gulf of America gear shipped right to your door anywhere in the USA. On today's episode of America Unfiltered with James Pascalides, we'll talk about topics like Wisconsin and North Carolina making voter ID laws finally a thing in their state. Mexico and Vietnam are caving to President Donald Trump. Amazon might buy TikTok. Anthony Edwards is paying one lump sum of child support for 18 whole years. The DNC is suing Trump. And Ford is giving an employee discount to you and to me. All that and much more coming up on today's episode of America Unfiltered with James Pascalides, starting now.
The moment is here. This is our moment.
America, we are back, baby. Welcome to another episode of America Unfiltered with James Pascalides. This is episode 39. I'm going to dive right into my topics today. My first topic I want to talk to you guys about, I want to talk about Wisconsin and North Carolina creating voter ID laws in their states. I think this is something that all 50 states should adopt. The fact that we don't have voter ID laws for our federal and state elections is absurd. It creates a massive room for fraud and things like that. But on April 1st, 2025, Wisconsin voters approved a constitutional amendment to make new state voter ID laws. It will allow people, valid IDs will be things as just state IDs, driver's license, military IDs, things like that. I think this is a necessary step for every single state. And North Carolina did the same thing pretty much. So North Carolina, they have been experiencing a lot of debates about voter ID laws, and Republican legislators have finally been able to get voter ID laws through, and it will require all the active voters now to show that they are eligible to vote in the United States, that they are citizens of the United States, not felons, and that they check all the boxes needed. I think this is a very necessary and very amazing step for our country and for those states, and I really think that, I don't know why it's even a controversial subject. I've talked about this in previous episodes, but liberals love to say that it's racist to require voter ID laws because minorities have tougher times getting IDs. It's one of the most ridiculous statements I've ever heard. Any minority who does not know how to get an ID, or any person who does not know how to get an ID, has a lot more problems than just not being able to get an ID. You have to be very stupid to not be able to figure out how to get an ID. It is something that is very easy to obtain, and I personally haven't met anyone who was not able to obtain one. So it's a very ridiculous statement, and I think it's racist for liberals to imply that black people can't get IDs. It's a very, very dumb statement by them. I do want to go on to our next topic. I want to talk about Mexico and Vietnam. They're caving to President Donald Trump. So Donald Trump laid down his tariffs the other day across a bunch of different countries throughout the world. Vietnam has said, they have called Donald Trump today to start negotiations. They want to eliminate all the tariffs. What they want to do is create just trade where there's no tariffs between either country. Obviously, this is something that Donald Trump will consider and get back to them on. There has not been an answer for us as the American people if that will happen or not. But Mexico, same thing. They said they're not going to raise tariffs at all. They're not going to do a tit for tat, just raising tariffs with Donald Trump. They're going to accept the tariffs that Donald Trump is putting on them because they know that we have been treated unfairly in trade for decades. And it's time that America and American taxpayers see a good side of trade that we have not seen the entire time that we've been alive in this country. I really think that in the future, Donald Trump will not only be able to secure more relationships and stronger relationships with these countries through this, but America as a whole will, like I said, see a lot better financial success when we're not just overtaxing our citizens and we are putting tariffs on other countries, which is fair because they're putting tariffs right back on us and have had them on for decades. I want to go on to our next topic today. We're going to zip through them today, guys. But I want to talk, and this will be a quick one, but we're going to talk about TikTok potentially being acquired. So TikTok, the date for TikTok to shut down is tomorrow, April 5th. Amazon has submitted a last-minute bid to acquire the popular short-form video platform. I really think it would be really smart for Amazon to acquire it if they're allowed to. It would not only boost their sales through the TikTok shop and things like that, but it would be it's one of the biggest social media platforms and one of the most influential social media platforms in the country today. So whoever does acquire Amazon will have a huge leg up on everyone else. But I do think Amazon is the front runner right now going into tomorrow's deadline. I want to go over back to voter ID laws for a second. So the DNC has sued Donald Trump over an executive order requiring voter ID. On March 25th, Donald Trump issued an executive order mandating documentary proof of citizenship for every voter who is registering for federal elections throughout the country. The DNC is suing Donald Trump, saying that it is racist to require voter ID laws. Again, this brings me back to my point. It is racist of them to imply that minorities have a tough time getting IDs. They do not, at all. I've never heard that. I've never seen that in practice. I went to a school that was primarily all minorities, and all of them had IDs. Not a single one of them did not have a license. So it's a ridiculous statement by liberals. I don't agree with it. And I really think that it is racist by them to say that voter ID laws are racist. It's a ridiculous statement by liberals. I want to go on to our next topic. I want to talk about, this one's a kind of ridiculous one, but Anthony Edwards, a famous basketball player, he had a child with a woman that he's not married to, and instead of paying for 18 years of child support, he opted to pay one lump sum payment of $1.08 million to this woman. One thing I hate about this, there's a ton of things I hate about this. I think people should be married when they have children. I don't think that people should be continuously having children with women they're not married to. It is not a smart move. But to basically say, I want nothing to do with you or that child, I'm just going to pay you everything now and basically never talk to me again, is a very disrespectful, ridiculous thing. And it's creating these terrible role models that we see in the black community when it comes to father figures. The father figures in the black community have dropped over 50% in the last 30 years. And why is that? It's because of things like this. These are terrible role models for your children. You need to have good role models for your children, and Anthony Edwards definitely should not be one of them. Someone who refuses to acknowledge their children, and when they do, they just give them money and say, stay away from me. That's a terrible person and a terrible father who deserves next to nothing. I want to go on to a couple of our last topics here. This one's one of the most sad ones. I'm praying for the family of Austin Metcalf. But Austin Metcalf was sadly killed by a 17-year-old black child named Carmelo Anthony. He was stabbed during a track meet in Frisco, Texas. Austin Metcalf and his twin asked Carmelo Anthony to get out of their seat, which he was sitting in. He then became confrontational and then stabbed one of the twin brothers, and the twin died in his twin's arm. It is very sad. There is almost zero public outrage, though. I remember when George Floyd was killed, I don't even know if I should say killed, when George Floyd was deceased, when all the different BLM riots happened, you saw CVS's, houses, different businesses burning to the ground. You don't see any of that. You don't see white people burning businesses and burning their houses and neighborhoods to the ground because a white child was killed. You do see us mourning him. You do see us mourning the family and trying to spread love, but we're not burning things down because we're not going to act ridiculous. BLM was a huge scam, and the fact that right now in our society we're dealing with pretty much the reverse situation that the media love to spin out, that whites are racist, just killing blacks. When a black child kills a white child, there's zero public outrage. You barely hear it on CNN or any of the media. You'll hear it on Fox News. But it's a very ridiculous thing the way our media operates, that they're not going to report on this, and you're going to hear this from me and maybe on social media, but that's about it. It's very sad for our world and very sad. I don't know. I just think they need to do a lot better about things like this. I want to talk about our last topic today, or our last two topics today. This one's quick and our last one's a little longer, but we're going to talk about Ford. They're giving their employee discount to all purchasers for the next couple months. I think this is an amazing thing. They're an American car company, and because of this, they're able to give these discounts because they don't have to pay the tariffs that Donald Trump is putting on auto cars that are not made in the United States. So I think this is amazing. I encourage people to buy Teslas, buy Fords, buy American cars, American everything. It's great to support Americans and American taxpayers and American businesses. I want to go on to our last topic today. The market has been going down a lot and has been very volatile since the tariffs. This is something that we all expected, but yesterday, retail investors pumped $4.7 billion into the market. This is an unheard of number. This is something that is amazing for the stock market for the future. And this is something that it goes to show you that when there are these dips, the retail investors can jump in. That way, when the market does get back and resets itself a little, we're all able to make some money. We're all able to come out on top. I'm James Pascalides. This has been America Unfiltered, episode 39. I'm signing off today. I hope you guys all have a blessed day, blessed weekend, and I will see you guys Monday. Thank you.